Okay, so what I'm going to do is create an assignment. And since they had the exam on module 1 here, again, if I expand module 1 with this little arrow dude, there's the exam. So that's kind of the last hoo-ha for that particular module. So I'm going to collapse this guy. I already created a folder for module module 2. And creating a module folder is really easy. And you can even see they look like manila folders and they're color coded. What you do is you go up here to course material, mouse over, and oops, create a module. Click on it, name it whatever, pick whatever color. If you want some funky color, there's the custom hex wheel, and hit save and it will show up down here. I'm not going to do that because I already did that. So here's what I'm thinking for tomorrow's activity is to make a continuation of this moving into your first apartment brainstorm. That's going to take them a couple of days, and I think it's going to be meaningful and probably frustrating for them just because they're going to trip on how much stuff costs. But I think we could capitalize on the work that we've already done with them. So let me collapse this module with the little arrow, dink, and I'm going to create a new assignment in module 2. And so I go here over here, I mouse over course material, and oops, you have to mouse over and kind of pull down. I'm going to create assignment right there. Assignment. And I'm going to name it, since this is module 2, I'm going to call this 2.1. And what should we call it? Moving into, let's see, costs for moving into your first apartment. Now, normally I would give in this section right here, this is where you give them the what you're going to do business. If it's an assignment that lives in Google, I would create a link and name the link and then, put the link there so they would just be linking to whatever in Google. But I think for this one, it's just going to be more of instructions. And yeah, so I think instead of that, I'm just going to write some instructions here. I'm going to say work with your group for the moving into your first apartment brainstorm. Use the existing, and emphasize that, Google Slides to research costs associated with each item your group name in the slides. Use the internet to find the costs. Don't forget about the cost of the apartment itself. Put all group members' names on slide number 1. Submit. I'm thinking right here I need to put the assignment number in case they forget. I think that should work. Okay, you're welcome to go in and add or clarify any directions as you see fit, because this is kind of your puppy in class now. Over here on the right is where you can set some parameters. Publish date is the date that the students will be available. It will be available for students to see. I don't give it to them until the morning of, and the default time is 7:30. I've never had a problem with that. And I think this is probably a 2-day assignment, so let's say it's due Tuesday afternoon or evening at 10 p.m. you'll notice that it populates those dates for all 3 periods. So there's period 2, there's period 3. Now grading, you have a choice of formative and summative. Remember, formative is the learning part, whereas summative is the assessment part. You know, show me that you learned it. And it's weighted. It's 40% of their grade is formative, 60% is summative. And we can assign a score to this. I think it's worth more than 10 points. I don't know. Let's say 20. Let's call it close enough, whatever. I don't fiddle with any of these settings right here. Once you've got all that stuff populated, then you can hit create. Now, the way these assignments work is if you choose to create your questions and stuff actually in eKadence, you can create questions and stuff right here. I don't fiddle with that. I put everything in Google Drive and then just put a link, and I leave out all these in the instructions, which is right here. I find that works better because eKadence is not stable, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to have it that long, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like Google is a much more stable product for our district. Okay, so going over to modules, this is a weird little glitch that I haven't figured out how to fix. When you create a new assignment, it just puts it at the bottom of the list. What you have to do is you have to drag this into module 2, and you can see how it's kind of grayed out there, but it's sort of dented in a little bit, indented rather, underneath module 2. If you let go, now it is underneath module 2, so collapse, expand. And you'll have to do that for any new assignments that you put on there. You can see over here that it's scheduled to be published. There's the due date, and nobody's submitted, obviously. Module 2, they won't be able to see this until the module folder is published. So I'm going to go ahead and publish for all classes. Now, unfortunately, that makes this guy published right now, and I really don't want them working on it. So what I'm going to do is go back to the assignment. And underneath settings, you can change the publish time. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to make it tomorrow at 7:30. Oops, 30. Oops, hello, come on. Maybe. And make sure it's AM. The due date we're going to leave alone. And unfortunately, you got to change this for all 3. This is a glitchy thing that I'm not really crazy about. Sorry, 7:30 a.m. Okay, all 3 periods have been changed. Submission type is in eKadence, yes. If this is ever an offline assignment, like it's paper or it's living someplace besides eKadence, you can change this to an in-person assignment, in which case it's not graded in eKadence. Or maybe it is, I'm not really sure. But there's nothing to submit in eKadence. So it does not let them submit anything. Or that you just don't want any submissions, you can click none. But let's leave it in eKadence. I don't fiddle with submission cutoff time. I'm not that fussy. You can change the parameters, like after they submit it, should they be allowed to review it? I don't know. You decide. And then this is, if just leave everything alone, because what that means is as soon as you hit it, mark grading complete, that green checkbox we talked about, it will push it over to Aries. So I don't ever mess with those settings. I have some rubrics, a few rubrics already created, like if it's a discussion board, this is where you would add a rubric. That's not appropriate for this one. How many points do you want? And then if you ever want to do group work, which this might be a good opportunity to do this, that way you only have to grade it once. You can create groups. Let's see here. I've never done this. So maybe that's something you want to learn. That's up to you. That's if you're feeling ambitious. Whatever. This is if you want to only give it to certain kids. So like let's say you have a special ed kid and he's just struggling. You can exclude certain kids from this assignment. I rarely do that. This is a setting. If you want them to have done a different assignment first, you can say, hey, you can't open this assignment till you finish that other assignment, or at least opened it. Same idea, except completed it. So like if they didn't turn in something else, you could say, hey, you can't do this till you did that first. You can set a time limit. You can make it so they only can see one question at a time, which of course that doesn't apply here. So I know that's a lot. I think that's it.